Episode 249, 6 Shifts to Sustain Fat Loss with Jille Dunsmore.
Welcome to Latter-day Life Coaches, the podcast where each episode is a conversation between me, Heather Rackham, and one of my amazing coach colleagues. Each coach here is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and a highly trained, experienced life coach making a great impact in the lives of their clients. And together, we have one main goal, helping you live your best life no matter what. You ready for this conversation with a coach? Here we go.
In this empowering conversation, Coach Jille Dunsmore outlines 6 of the most common mistakes women make when trying to lose weight and how to shift out of them. Rather than promoting restrictive dieting or extreme exercise, Jille teaches a mindset and body-first approach to fat loss, built around self-ownership, nourishment, and emotional regulation. She shares stories from her life, her clients, and even her twin sister's transformation journey. Together, she and Heather explore how to escape the trap of cravings, victim thinking, perfectionism, and self-sabotage, and how to develop a compassionate relationship with your body that leads to lasting change. If you've ever struggled to maintain weight loss, this episode offers a refreshing and realistic path forward. Please enjoy.
Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast today. I am excited to be joined by Coach Jille Dunsmore. Hello, Jill. How you doing?
Hi, Heather. I'm so good.
Good. Glad you're here. Thanks for being with me. Jill's been on before, so this will be a comfortable conversation. We know each other, and I'm hoping, and it will be for our listeners as well. I just would love for you, however, even though you have been on before, to introduce yourself again so people can know a little bit about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Jille Dunsmore. I'm an advanced body, life, and mindset coach, and I've been coaching for over 5 years. And I help women struggling with fat loss and food cravings take back their control so that they can lose weight for life and finally live in a body that they love. So I teach them how to become their natural healthy weight, and then I help them develop the mindset to be able to do it.
Awesome. I think like that word, the natural weight, that's a tricky one because I think a lot of people think that it should be like, for some people, they're like, this weight should be smaller than I think that it is or whatever. Like, I think, is it tricky for people to discover what their natural weight is?
I think sometimes people have an idea of what they should weigh because it's what they
Uh-huh.
used to weigh, right? Like I
Yeah.
used to weigh this, and when we talk about it, and I'm saying, okay, but when did you weigh that? Well, when I was 20. Okay, and now I've had 6 kids, do you know what I mean? It's like my life,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying you cannot be healthy and fit and strong, but it doesn't always. We can get this idea of what that should be, and here's the thing: you also have to decide. Am am I willing to live in a way to be at and maintain that weight for my
Mhm.
life? Because if you're not, okay, well, let's find a weight that feels good and comfortable to you, like where you feel lighter, you feel stronger, you feel healthier, but it's something you're willing to eat that way. You're willing to move that way. You're willing to do the trades that it takes to be able to maintain it. So if you're
Mhm.
constantly chasing this weight that you really don't want to live at. You want to be the weight. Like, I want to be there. I'd love to just be there, but I don't want to do the things that would actually make it last. So, for instance, think about like if I had to be on a really calorie restrictive diet forever to be able to maintain that weight, like, is that really the life you want? Is that really
Mhm.
what you want to do? So, let's find something that feels comfortable and doable. You feel confident, you feel strong, you feel good, but it's not it's something that you can maintain. It's something that you can actually live easily.
Mhm.
And also, I am more focused on I really am a fat loss coach because if you think about weight loss, we say weight loss, but we don't want to lose our muscle weight. We actually want to gain muscle weight. We want to trade the fat for the muscle. And so a lot of times when I'm working with my clients, because I'm teaching them how to actually do that and become stronger with their muscles and their bones as they age, the scale isn't going to change that much. It might not change a whole lot, but your body composition will. And so
Mm-hmm.
when we can get on board with like, okay, it's not so much about the number on the scale, it's about how I feel in my body, emotionally, physically, how I feel. That's when we become our natural healthy weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for addressing that. I just think it's a good conversation to have and for people to understand that, and especially that piece, right? Like we're not we that lifestyle that we would have to have in order to maintain some vision of what we think we should be,
Hmm.
oftentimes is just not it's not what we want. That lifestyle is not what we want. It
Right.
doesn't fit with our life. It doesn't fit with our family, our goals. It's just
The
anyway. So I
time
think
that
it's
we're willing to spend. I think
yeah.
about, I used to feel like compare my body to other bodies and then and think, oh, I wish I looked like that. But then when I found out what they do, like one friend I had, she spent 3 hours a day in the gym. And she looked amazing. Don't get me wrong, she looked amazing. But I realized like I actually don't want that because I
Yeah.
don't have a life where I can do that or I actually want to do that. And
Hmm.
do you know what I mean? So it's like really just deciding like what do I really want and what am I willing to do to create it?
Hmm. Yeah. It takes some thought, right? It takes some personal a deep dive into ourselves and what our goals are and who we are and who we and what our priorities are. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so as we get going here, would love to know from your perspective, what are some of the biggest reasons you see that keep your clients and people from being able to lose fat? I guess I'll use the words that you
Mhm.
say that you
Yeah,
like to
we can
use,
say
right?
weight. We can totally
Yeah.
say weight because that's what people resonate with. But I
Okay.
to make that differentiation.
Yeah.
We're going to do
Yes.
it in a way that we're
Yeah.
losing the actual weight we want to.
Yeah. So what is it that keeps people from being able to achieve that goal that they have?
Well, there's a lot of reasons, but there's six biggest reasons that I see, or mistakes really, that women are making unknowingly that keep them from losing the weight they want or keep them from keeping it off. Like they'll lose it and then
Hmm.
they gain it back, right? Like being able to maintain it. And I made all of these mistakes myself, so I totally understand them, but I also understand how to change each one because it's the work I've done myself. That's why this is really important to me because I've been through this. And in my own life, before I start talking about these reasons, I actually was the person who I always cared about being fit and healthy. I always wanted that and I strive for that. But I would go work out and exercise. I was active, but then I would go home and eat. I had cravings that I felt like I couldn't control that would just come up. And I would start out the day with great intentions, but then by the end of the day, I will have just given in, whether it was stress or habit or boredom or just whatever. I would end up just giving into these cravings that just followed me around all the time. And so I was not able to maintain that body that I wanted because of these cravings. And so that's part of what I'm going to talk about today, but this is something that I dealt with myself where when you have weight to lose, it doesn't matter if you have 5 pounds or 50 pounds. Even if other people can't see it, when you're carrying it, you're carrying extra weight because you're not eating in a way that feels aligned with the goals you want. It doesn't feel aligned with the body and the health you want. It matters. And even if nobody else cares, if it matters to you, it matters. And so being able to realize like, okay, these are the things that are keeping me stuck from actually being able to lose the weight, whether it's keeping me stuck from starting to lose it or keeping me stuck from keeping it off or losing it while I'm trying. These are the things that we really need to be aware of that are happening most of the time we're doing it unconsciously. We don't know we're doing these things. And when you can get awareness of these things and just start to see it, now you have somewhere to go because we can't change what we're not aware of. So that's why I've narrowed it down to 6 things I see the most
Mhm.
often with the women that I work with and what you can do to start changing it.
Okay. I love, it's always nice when we can say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Like it
Yes.
when
We
it
love
when you can
steps.
just kind of, yes, we do. I think it's really easy for our brains to consume that. So tell me about
Tell
it.
me
Like
what they
what
are.
would
Let's do it. Let's
yeah,
dive
let's
in.
go.
Okay, let's do it. So the first one is, and I made this the first one for a reason, but you unknowingly stay in victim mode.
Mm,
Okay, so this is the part where we blame, we're unconsciously blaming things outside of us for our own results. So we're thinking, okay, well, the reason I can't do this yet, or I can't do it now, or I can't stick with it is we blame time. I don't have the time right now. There's just too much going on. We might blame our kids, like there's this stressful things going on with them, and we always put ourselves on the back burner when things are coming up. We could blame work, like, okay, when work calms down, when things aren't so heavy, I actually just don't have time to focus on that. We might blame our husband for bringing the donuts home and bringing getting out the snacks all the time because he's not trying to do it, right? And so we feel frustrated that this food's always around, or maybe our kids they won't eat this healthy meal, so I can't make that. I have to make what they'll eat, and we blame genetics or our age or menopause, right? There's just all these reasons that we're thinking this is why I can't lose weight now. This is why I can't start or I can't keep it off. And I get all of that. Like I've had all of those come up for me too. And I'm 55, so I'm also in menopause. I've been going through all of those changes. And it's true. Like there's things that were harder, like things that were working weren't stopped working. But it doesn't mean you can't figure out how to make it work again, right? It doesn't mean all is lost. But when you think that, when you're blaming something outside of you, that's when you become the victim. And I say unknowingly, because I don't think most of us are trying to be that. But a victim is somebody who they're in a powerless place because they don't have control over something. Control has been taken away. And when we think those thoughts like, well, it's because of this, this, and this, then all of that has to change before we can change, and that keeps us stuck in victim mode. And
mm.
so we start to focus on what we can't do and the reasons that we can't do it, and then that becomes our story, and we
Yeah.
stay in it.
Yeah, I think that one particular step is applicable in so many areas of our lives out, even beyond the discussion that we're having today about
Yeah.
um, our bodies. Like anytime that we put our control, like we put it on somebody else and say, oh, I just have, and we become the victim, we
Mhm.
do like if there's a victim in a story, there's always somebody that's powerless, right? Like the victim is powerless and there's somebody
This is
with
happening
great
to
power.
me. Yeah.
Yes. And there's somebody in that story that has great power, right? Like making that person the victim. And so anytime we put our, the responsibility for us onto somebody else, we won't see changes. We won't be able to do the things we want to do because we are, like you said, we've become powerless and we can't change that because we're making it somebody else's job and we can't change somebody else. So, anyway, I just think that's a great point in general for
Yeah.
everything.
Just in life, for sure.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that's really true is when we stay there, when we believe those thoughts, like our primitive brain will want to keep us there because then we
Oh,
don't
for
have to do
sure.
anything to change, right?
Yeah.
Change isn't easy. Change is not easy. And to take those steps, that there is hard. And that part of your brain's always going to say, you know what, that's going to suck. We're gonna have to give up things we like. We're gonna have to start doing things we don't really want to do. We're gonna have to, it's gonna bring up all the pain points. It's gonna take a lot of time. And we're gonna not be able to do this. And it's gonna bring up all the pain points. And so it's easier to just listen to that and blame something else. Like, oh, well, you're right. Like I just don't have time. I can't help that. Right.
Yeah.
But that's what keeps us there. And so the solution to this is honestly, it's to own where you are, to own it. Okay. Because as long as we're blaming others, we're not owning it for our own choices. And this isn't about blaming yourself. It's not beating, this is not about beating yourself up. It's about taking loving accountability for your results and where you are. So when we do this, you ask yourself, how am I allowing this to stand in my way? So for instance, time. Okay, let's say we take time. Like I just don't have the time to plan healthy foods and to make to cook healthier food, healthier meals instead of just doing processed packaged stuff. Or I don't have time to get up and go to the gym in the morning. I don't have time to do that. I've got my days are so full. I just don't have time to take care of me, right? And we can almost feel like kind of self-righteous in that. I'm doing all these things for other people, which you are, but also just own that. It's like, okay, well, how am I allowing this thought to stand in my way? Okay. So when we do that, it'll shift us into thinking like just seeing it as a problem to asking yourself, how is this not a problem? What can I control? Because when we're focused on what we can't control, we'll just see more of that. So we have to shift into, okay, but what could I control here? There are things that we can't control for sure, right? There's things that we can't control in our bodies and our health. There's things we can't control what our husband's going to bring home, what our kids will and won't eat, what is going on at work. Like there's things that we can't control, but when you decide, okay, but how could I do it? It opens your brain up to asking a different question. So instead of for looking for all the reasons you can't and just proving that true, your brain goes to work looking for how could I? Okay, well, if I don't have time to work out in the morning, A, what could I do to create that time? What could I do to start moving my body more? What can I do? Or, okay, then when could I? When is a different time? What am I willing to do? And there is always a way. But until we ask ourselves that and we take ownership for it and stop blaming time or whatever else for the reason we can't do it, we're not going to look for that. We're
Mhm.
not going to create it. So that's one way is focusing on what you can control instead of what you can't. So I wanted to give an example that I just find really inspiring about stepping into the power that you do have. And that was my twin sister. I have a twin sister, and she has scoliosis. And so she has struggled with that for years. I think she was diagnosed when she was like 19. But for decades, she's dealt with this and she's had 30 surgeries
Oh,
related to
geez.
that. 30 surgeries. And a lot of them have been because of complications with those surgeries. Both of her hips replaced. She's had to be on medication for it that caused her to gain rapid amounts of weight. She was in recovery. Sometimes she would have like two or three surgeries a year. So she was always in recovery and couldn't exercise, couldn't move. So many things kept her in this place where she just started gaining weight and adding more and more on. And she felt in a powerless place. Now she couldn't control those things. There was times she was even in a wheelchair, but she couldn't control those things. That wasn't her fault for sure. But she decided this year to take control of what she could. And she had gained 70 pounds that she was not happy with and felt really self-conscious and unhappy in her body, physically and emotionally. That's a lot of extra weight to carry around. And so she decided, well, there's all these things I can't do, but what could I do? So she got a jacuzzi slash swimming pool. Have you seen those?
Mhm.
Like they
Uh-huh.
can be like a stagnant swimming thing.
Yeah.
So she started doing that was something she could do and figuring out what exercises can I do in here? How can I move my body consistently? And then she started changing her nutrition. And through that and just being consistent with it and focusing on where her power was and what she could do, in the last 5 months, she has lost 47 pounds. So,
Wow.
and she's still going, but it's been really incredible. And she feels so much lighter and stronger and happier. But that start came from the shift of opening up her
Mhm.
mind to what can I do instead of just being stuck in what I can't.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, it's so true that our brain is always trying to prove what we think is true, right? So if you think you can't, your brain will show you all the reasons. And to be fair, your brain's working how it's supposed to, right? Like
Yeah.
part of the job of that part of your brain is to look for like to be efficient and to be easy and to stay away from pain and harm. And so it's
Hmm.
doing what it's supposed to do. It's telling you, oh, you should totally like not do those things. But
Yeah.
I think that's part of it is just acknowledging, yeah, because it is easy for us to kind of shame ourselves and feel like, oh, I there's something wrong with me for my brain always going to this and telling me that I can't. But I think just acknowledging, oh, this is what my brain is supposed to do, and I can still like have a different focus. I can still be in
Yes.
charge the way that I want to.
It moves you from your brain being problem focused, which is what our brain
Yeah,
defaults to. That is
right,
normal. Nothing's wrong with you. That's normal, being
right.
problem focused, but it shifts you into becoming solution focused. Like,
Hmm.
okay, what could I do? What is the solution to this? And when you ask your brain that question, it will start looking for answers and things will start opening up for you. You just have
Yeah,
to be willing to own, like, I am where I am. There's some things I can't control, but am I taking control of what I can?
yeah,
And that's where you start.
yeah. I I'm just having a moment of like personal retrospective revelation for myself as we're having this conversation,
I
which
love
has
it.
which has nothing to do with what you and I are talking about, except for when you just said being problem focused versus solution focused. And isn't it funny? Like we know all the things we help teach people all the things, and we still have to be reminded of them ourselves from time to
I
time.
know
So
because we have human brains.
yes,
Isn't
yes.
it beautiful?
So anyway, now my brain is like, oh, I'm having an aha moment for myself. I appreciate that. So thank you.
Love it. You're welcome. And that's one of the things like I just that I love about coaching is so right now we're talking about weight loss and these
Hmm.
tools with weight loss, but they apply to every area of your
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
right? Everything you learn to be able to change this, which is usually women's hardest thing. It's like the thing that they've been carrying, like all the things they overcome, all the hard things they can do, all the challenges they figure out. It's like this kind of follows them, the
Hmm.
struggle with food and with their body. And so when you can learn it here, it'll actually start to ripple out and change all the areas of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. Very
Mhm.
true. Okay. Other steps.
Next
What
one.
else? Yeah.
Okay. So the next reason, number two, you don't eat enough of the right foods. So we think about losing weight. We think, oh, I need to eat less. I need to eat less. But really, you need to eat more of the foods that actually help you lose weight and less of the foods that don't. And that sounds really simple, but it's true. We don't eat enough real food. So we eat and we snack on low quality, low nutrient foods, which is usually processed or refined foods, right? Even if they're packaged as healthy, like the cereals, the crackers, the low calorie snack bags, or the heavily processed protein bars, and just drinking sugar free chemical laden drinks throughout the day. Like we're not giving our body the nutrition she actually needs. And when that happens, well, first of all, we always feel hungry because when you're constantly eating these kinds of foods, the foods that are low in nutrition, you always feel hungry. You're on a blood sugar roller coaster. So we're eating these processed foods, these highly refined sugar carb foods, and it spikes our blood sugar. And then our blood sugar drops, and then we're quickly hungry again. And so then it spikes our blood sugar, and we're on this roller coaster throughout the day that we constantly feel hungry, like we're needing more energy, and that's because our blood sugar isn't balanced, it's not stable. And then when our body doesn't have the adequate nutrition it needs, our body is so smart, but she knows what she needs to be able to build and repair and maintain a healthy metabolism and do all the things she needs to do to keep you functioning well and keep your organs going. And all she can do if she doesn't have all the pieces she needs, the nutrition she needs to do that, is ask you for food. So your hunger hormones will be released and you will feel hungry. She's like, well, I need more nutrition, but she can't tell you exactly what. And so she'll just say, I'm hungry and hope that she gets it. And so when you start, obviously this leads to overeating because you're constantly feeling hungry. You never really feel full. You might be hungry for a couple of hours, but then you need another pick me up. And it's like you're just eating throughout the day, and that leads to eating more than your body needs. What she needs is the nutrition, but you're just putting more and more calories in because you just feel hungry. And if she doesn't get it, then you continue to feel hungry. So she can't use all that food. And so she keeps storing it for later, and later never comes.
Mm. I love the kind of like separation when you use the phrase she instead of I, right? Like it's when we can take our brain, our higher brain, our prefrontal cortex out of the equation and look at ourselves separately, look at our bodies as a separate entity almost.
Mhm.
And it is so fascinating to think about treating our body as if it's our best friend, as if she is our best friend, right? Like, I think anytime we can separate ourselves a little bit and kind of watch ourselves as if we're watching a movie or having a relationship with somebody, it it makes our that relationship really actually more meaningful. We are able to have a different perspective on how we treat ourselves, how we treat her, our body.
Yeah, and starting to connect with her in a way that we do see her as separate because she is.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah.
live in her, but we're definitely a part of her, but we're separate than her. We really are. And so when we think, I'm just hungry, right? Like I want this. It's like when we can separate our us from our body, it's like, okay, but what is she really hungry for? What is she hungry for? What
Hmm.
does she need to be able to do her job? She's trying to talk to you and tell you, your body's always talking to you by sending you these signals. And when you learn how to really listen, then you start learning, okay, she's really needing this. And
Hmm.
that's the work that one of the biggest pieces I do with my clients is helping you build that connection with your body and build a different kind of relationship with her than you ever have before. Because a lot of times when we're in this way of eating where we have a poor relationship with food, we also have a poor relationship with our body. Meaning we might not, doesn't mean necessarily that we hate her. Sometimes my clients do, they don't like their bodies, they loathe their bodies, but a lot of times it's just kind of ignoring your body, not really paying attention to her, not listening to her, not knowing how to
Hmm.
do that. And so we build this relationship of connection where you really start tuning into what she needs and what she's telling you and understanding that. And the more you can develop that relationship, it does turn into a friendship. It turns into a partnership. And when you two have this cool little partnership where you're giving her what she needs to do her job well, she gives you what you need to do your job well, and then both of you can thrive. And as you
Hmm.
do that and build that, you'll start to understand more and more what she needs to feel healthy. Because when you're healthy, that's when you become your natural healthy weight.
Yeah, such an interesting point. Okay.
So the solution for that, okay, we talked about the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Solution for that is you need to learn how to fuel your body instead of just fill her up. Okay, so fueling your body. So you've got to eat more whole, nutrient dense, satiating foods that help you lose weight. These foods are from the earth. So if you think about it, when I say natural, it's from the earth. That doesn't just mean being a vegetarian because animals are also from the earth. That is also natural. So meat, dairy, all those things too. But focus on eating more plants and mainly fiber. Because if you think about it, fiber comes from plants. Fiber, there's not fiber in meat, there's not fiber in dairy. Fiber comes from things that grow from the ground, that grow in the earth. And our bodies thrive on that. We are living, breathing plants, our bodies are. We need sunlight, we need water, we need earth, which is the food and the nutrition, and we need love. We need all of that to thrive. Okay. And so the more plants we put into our body, whether it's fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, beans, all of those foods that come from the earth, the whole grains, that's what our body really needs. That's the kind of energy that she really needs. So when we're just giving low quality sugar energy, our body can run on that, but she can't thrive on that. And that's why she keeps saying, "Hey, I'm hungry." Okay. So the more you do that and focus on the plants and the fiber, getting 25 grams of fiber or more a day is an amazing goal. Most people, when they're not paying attention to this, I know I wasn't, they're getting around 10, if that. It's just not something we normally do. And when you start increasing that just by eating more natural fruits and vegetables and plants, basically, you'll just see so many beautiful effects ripple out into your whole body. Your mind will be more clear, your digestion, your gut microbiome gets healthier. That affects every organ in your body. You'll just start feeling better and your metabolism starts to work better and you'll be able to process the food better. But the really cool thing that happens when you're eating high quality proteins, healthy fats, these healthy whole natural carbs, you're going to actually start eating less. You just won't feel as hungry. Because, first of all, your body's going to stop sending you those signals like, hey, I need nutrition, please eat more. Your body's going to have what she needs. And so she will actually send the full hormone and shut that hunger down. That's how she's made. And she will do that when she has what she needs. But also, you're just more satiated. Those foods are filling, right? They are the foods that fill you up the most. When you think about it, it's really hard to overeat those kinds of foods. What we binge on and overeat is the food that has very little nutrition. Think about how much crunch and munch you can eat, or you can eat like a bag of Doritos and still feel hungry. Like, what's next, right? We don't, that doesn't fill you up because there's not nutrition, but the more nutrient dense your food is, you actually feel full longer and you just don't, you're not as hungry. You don't need to eat as much food.
Mm. Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, and the thing is when we eat that way, it's like we start to become healthy. And like I said, that is the goal because you can lose weight in a lot of unhealthy ways. You can lose weight with cocaine. Right? I mean, that sounds extreme, but it's true. You can. The goal is not to just lose weight at any cost. The goal is to do it in a way that's actually supporting and loving and strengthening your body and your organs and your brain and all the things that you need to live the life you want to live, to do the work you want to do in the world, to be able to feel the way you want to feel. That's the goal. And when you do that, then your hunger hormones will start to calm down and you're just going to be able to balance those hormones out. And like I said, your metabolism starts to heal and you're actually starting to change your body from the inside out, which is where it has to start.
Mm-hmm. Okay, number three.
This one ties in to the one we just talked about. So you become a sugar burner. Okay. So a sugar burner means your body has become dependent on just burning quick carbohydrates for energy, which is so we're always we our bodies need sugar, glucose for energy always to run. Our brains need it, our bodies need it, like it's a good thing. We need that. But your brain, your body, she will want to do the easiest thing, which is let's just burn the most readily available sugar we have for energy before she ever goes into her fat stores. So our body is either in sugar burning mode, which is we're burning sugar for energy, or we're in fat storing mode. We're in one or the other. And so for us to be able to get back into the fat burning mode, we have to switch from becoming a sugar burner back into becoming a fat burner. So the way we do this, well, the way you become a sugar burner, let me tell you how you do that, because if you're not aware, then you can't really change it. But you're eating too often. First of all, you're just kind of that person who snacks or grazes throughout the day, always just kind of grabbing a little handful of this, another handful of that. Maybe you're sipping sugar throughout the day. You're never letting your insulin go down. And when you are reaching for food, you're kind of grabbing those quick carbs, right? The ones that just are refined or processed and they turn into sugar quickly in your body, because that's what you'll crave when you need energy. You'll crave those quick carbs because it's fast. Like it really does give you a surge of energy quickly. But then it also leaves quickly and then you're hungry again. So when we're eating throughout the day like that and we're constantly snacking and needing another pick me up, we stay in fat storage mode because our insulin is released. And when insulin is present in your body, it's released every time you eat. When insulin is in your body, you're in fat storing mode. And the only way to shift into fat burning is when the blood sugar has all been shuttled away to where it needs to be stored and your insulin can go down. Now we can go back into burning our sugar again. And so the way we become a fat burner is we have to fast in between our meals. So whether you are an intermittent faster or not, you don't have, I think a lot of times people think about intermittent fasting as like, oh, I've got to fast, like I have to have a 17-hour fast or something. But it doesn't have to be that. It can just be fasting in between your meals. Just eating three nutrient dense meals a day, your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, and not snacking in between. It takes about 2 hours for our insulin levels to regulate and go back down after we eat. And so then we need to give our body time to shift back in to using our own fat, our own energy stores. And the only way we do that is by not eating for a little while. So I have this story that what's an analogy really that can help you understand how to do that, what's happening in your body. So you think about you're driving your car and you go pull into the gas station and you fill up with gas. Okay, cool. Your gas tank is full. And then you get back in your car, head down the road. You're like, oh, there's another gas station. Well, my tank is still pretty much full, but it wouldn't hurt to get some more. So you pull over and you fill up again. Well, now there's like, you didn't need very much because your gas tank wasn't really empty. So you go in and you buy a gas can. You're like, I'm just going to fill this up just in case. And you put it in your trunk. And then you go drive along and you stop at the next gas station and you fill up another gas can and then another gas can. And we keep filling it up until finally our trunk is full. We're like, okay, so then we keep going like that feels good. I've got all that in the trunk just in case. So I'm not going to run out. And then we fill up more gas cans. Well, where are we going to put it? Well, I guess I'll get a rack and put it on top of my car and I'm going to fill that up now. And so then we fill that rack up with gas cans. And then when that gets full, we're like, well, I guess I could rent a U-Haul and start putting gas cans in that and I'll just pull that around too. You know what I mean? And so we just keep adding more and more fuel storage to our car, but we're never like letting ourselves use the gas that we're storing. And that's what's happening in our body when we continue to just store the fat, but we don't give our bodies a chance to burn it, then we're not able to ever use up those gas cans, which is what fat is. It's stored energy. We're not able to use it. So when we don't eat, when we actually fast in between meals, we stop the snacking. It can feel hard at first because your body's used to that. She doesn't want to go to the fat stores. That takes a lot more work. It's like you going down to the freezer and defrosting meat and making a meal versus just grabbing something out of a box in the kitchen that's already there or fast food. Like your body really doesn't want to do that work. She wants to save it for the famine, but the famine's never coming. So she's going to not like it at first because you've trained her to ask for sugar every few hours. But when you do this, she will learn that she can go to her fat stores. And once your body learns how to do that, you train her how to do that. She will just, instead of asking you for food and sending hunger hormones and cravings, she'll just dip into your fat stores when she needs energy. And it's a beautiful thing because you'll be able to go throughout the day. You'll be able to go through meals without needing a snack. If you're eating those nutrient dense meals, you don't need more food. You really don't need it. You might crave it or want it, but you don't need it. And once your body learns that you're not going to feed her, then she'll just learn how to automatically just go to those whenever she needs energy. And that's one of the biggest ways that you can shift yourself into being a fat burner. You'll know this has happened because you'll stop getting hungry in between meals. You can even exercise and not feel hungry. You'll have plenty of energy. You're not starving yourself. Your body is eating. She's just learning how to dine in. She's using up those stored gas cans that you've got. And that's what your body is actually made to do. Your body is meant to do this. We just interrupt it by eating all the time. So she's never able to.
That's a very good visual, the story, your analogy. Because first of all, why do I hate to go to the gas station? I hate to fill up my car with gas. It's like the worst thing. If I could lug gas around with me and never have to go to the gas station,
That
I'd
would
be
be
so
great.
happy. So happy. But that's a great analogy. Okay, so what are we? That was three? Is
Oh,
that
well,
number
now we're on
three?
number four.
Or
Yes. Okay.
four?
So
Okay.
number four is you eat healthy, you try to eat healthy and work out, but then you keep giving in to cravings. So this was my biggest problem. I was active. I did work out. I always exercised, but then I would go home and later in the day, I'd get anxious or bored or just out of habit. When I was sitting working at my desk, I would eat a whole sleeve of Ritz crackers or Fig Newtons or something. And I was just constantly like, whatever I would work off, I was always just putting back in. And you cannot outrun or out exercise a crappy diet unless you're someone that's training for marathons all the time, and or you're like my friend that was spending 3 hours a day in the gym. Like most of us aren't doing that. You're not going to be able to just outrun a crappy diet. It's going to catch up with you. And another problem with the cravings is that I would have something and be like, okay, this is fine. Like I feel good about having this one piece, but then I'd want another and another. I just found it really hard to stop. When I started eating, I just had more cravings for more and more. Then the cravings would lead to emotional eating, meaning just eating when you're not really hungry, eating out of habit, eating because you feel bored, eating to procrastinate something, eating because you feel tired or stressed, or even just because you feel happy or you want to feel happy. Like you're just eating for reasons that your body's not asking for food, but your emotions are. And so we eat for that. And the cravings, no matter what you're doing to stay on track most of the time, those cravings come and they just sabotage your hard work. So you might lose some weight and then you gain it back over the weekend because of the weekend eating, or you'll do it for a little while and then you fall off. And so that's the part that feels so hard, is because these cravings feel like they just keep getting in the way and I don't know how to manage them. The problem isn't really in the cravings themselves, because that's normal that we're going to have cravings, but the problem is that we keep giving into them and we train our brain to just send us more and more cravings.
Hmm.
And so that's one of the biggest things I see standing in the way that my women really struggle with is, okay, but how do I not give in to the cravings?
Yeah, yeah. And I would imagine that also that question that you posed in the beginning, which is what, like, is it worth the life? Like you probably have to like that. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I do know what I'm trying to say. I just can't say the words. When you're
We'll
trying
get
to
there.
balance, like, is this the lifestyle I want to have versus I don't want to do, like, do I want to do this or do I not want to do this, right? Like I think that question probably comes up frequently. Like, is this getting in the way of the lifestyle? Like you mentioned the
Mhm.
weekend eating, right? Or whatever. Like I would imagine that those sort of questions come up frequently for your clients. Like, is this what I really want to do? Is it not what I want to do? Is this the lifestyle I want to live? Is it not? I don't know. I guess I'm just seeing this being part of the process. Would you? I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
rambling.
No, I totally get what you're saying. And honestly, you're so right, because you're not going to stick with this unless you do it in a way that works around the life you want to live. Instead
Mm-hmm.
of trying to work your life around losing weight, like we've got to do it the other way around. You're going to lose weight doing it the way you actually want to live your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about like cutting everything out and changing everything. It's learning about how to have balance, how to eat. Like 90% of the time we're eating the healthy, whole, nutritious foods that our body needs and craves. And then 10% of the time we get to eat whatever we want that we crave, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those foods, you don't have to eliminate them, but it's learning how to shift that balance so it's in alignment with where you want to go and what you really want. And when you do that, then you're able to, it's because it's not about having those foods. Those foods aren't like taboo or bad, or it's not, you shouldn't have those. It's just when it takes over and you're eating them too much. You're eating them too often. It's becoming a daily thing instead of just a once in a while thing, right? That's when
Mm-hmm.
it starts showing up on your body in ways that you don't like. And that affects everything. It affects the way you feel about yourself. It affects your energy levels. It can affect your relationships and how comfortable you feel in your body with your partner and your husband. It's like, it affects all the areas of your life. And so being able to take back control, really what it is it kind of goes back to that victim thing, but just feeling powerless. Like the women I work with, a lot of times they feel like, it's not all food, but I have certain foods that when they're my kryptonite. When that comes, it's like I can't control myself, or I always end up overeating that. Or when I feel this way, I just have to, like, I can't relax without being able to have a snack. Like, I have to be able to have snacks while I sit down and relax. And it's just something you've trained your body to think, and your brain to think that she needs.
Hmm.
And you don't. And so when I work with my clients, what we do is we reduce the cravings physically and emotionally. A big part of that is the nutrition. Like I said, the more nutrition you have, your cravings will actually physically go down. Okay. But then emotionally, that's all still there. We have trained our brain to keep asking for cravings until we give in because it works. If you think about having a puppy and you're training them to not beg for food at the table, every time you give them scraps and you feed them from the table, they're learning to keep begging. They learn to keep asking because it works. They get rewarded for it. Maybe they have to do it for a long time. If they whine long enough, if they bark long enough, you get annoyed, you'll just feed them to shut them up. Okay. Well, your brain's the same way. We've just trained her to keep asking and bugging you all the time. That's how I felt. I had cravings follow me around like gnats swarming around your head. They just wouldn't leave me alone until I ate the food. And so I felt really powerless to it. The only way I knew how to make it go away was to give in. But that's just because I had trained my brain that that's my response. And when you train your brain to have a different response to cravings, oh, I can actually want that, but not eat it. I can want it, but I'm going to respond to it in a different way instead of react to it and give in. When you train your brain how to do that, she eventually will get on board, just like a puppy. If you truly stop feeding them at the table, they'll still whine, they'll still ask, but then they'll stop because it doesn't work. And the more you do that, eventually they'll stop doing it. You will, just like you can train a puppy, you can retrain your brain. And so that's the process I actually teach my clients. One of the biggest things we do together is when you have that desire come to eat those things, when you have the cravings, when those emotions come and you want to eat to feel better or make them go away, what do you do? And so, what I teach them is a 5 step process that actually helps them know what to do when the craving comes. And I call it the freedom formula. And it's 5 simple steps that they can do when they're actually in that's going to help them create new neural pathways in their brain and retrain their brain. And the more you practice it and the more you do it, the more second nature it becomes. And eventually your brain just calms down. The cravings that used to be at a 10 will be a 3. So they're just so much more manageable. And sometimes cravings can even go away altogether. But even when they do come, you'll know how to manage it without giving in. So that's something I actually have. It would take longer to teach that on the time we have,
Yeah.
but I have
Yeah.
it in a master class that I'm going to offer your listeners so that they can get that. It's the same process I teach my clients, and it's actually pretty life changing. I actually developed it for myself when I was teaching myself how to do this because I needed more than just don't give in. Just don't
Mm.
need it. I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
There was times I could, but a lot of times it just felt too hard. And relying on willpower, sometimes I had it, but it wasn't always there. So this is a way to be able to get through any craving without willpower or fighting it or losing control. And so I know you'll link that, but that's
Yeah.
something I'm happy to send to them if you actually want to go through this process and learn how to do it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes. Okay. We got a couple more minutes, so let's hit the last two speedy quick.
Okay, perfect. So number 5 is you feel entitled to comfort. This goes back to what we were just talking about, but feeling entitled to comfort means like I should just feel comfortable. When discomfort comes, I need to make it go away. Like something's wrong. We need to solve this. What can I do to solve it? And we usually start looking for outside things to solve it, to make it go away. Food is a really great one because it works, right? Or when I'm going to do it as long as I'm motivated and excited, but when it starts to feel hard and it doesn't feel fun anymore, then I'm out, right? I can talk myself out of it or justify or say, well, I'll just start later. I'll do it later or not today. Or we just have all these reasons to give in and then give up when it gets hard. And so the solution for that is to actually learn how to get comfortable with the discomfort. Because when you learn how to embrace that discomfort instead of trying to make it go away, that's where all of your growth is for any area of your life. If you think about anything you want to do in your life that you're not doing, it's because of a feeling you don't want to feel. The discomfort, maybe the overwhelm or the confusion or the figuring out something new or the fear of failure or feeling deprived, whatever it is, it's like there's a reason that we're not doing it. It's always because we're not willing to feel that. So when you can learn how to get comfortable with that discomfort and you get really good at feeling it, it's a muscle you build. It's a skill that you build. And the more you practice it, this process that I'm going to share with your listeners, That's one way to really practice it. The more you do it, that discomfort actually gets smaller. And it's not that that's really changed, but you've changed. You've just learned how to allow it instead of fighting it, resisting it, making it get bigger. You've just learned how to actually allow it and be with it in a way where it doesn't take over.
Mhm.
So, also learning how to rely on commitment instead of motivation and excitement. It's so cool when that's there, and some days it will be, but some days it's not. But it doesn't mean that we can't still keep going and we can't still do it. If you think about when you have a baby and they need their diaper changed in the middle of the night, you do not feel like doing that. You're not excited to get up and change their diaper. You don't feel motivated to go do it, right? But you do it because you love the child. You love your baby. You want them to be comfortable. You want to take care of them. So you just get up and you do it. You do that from commitment, not because you feel excited about it. But that's the same thing with taking care of our bodies and taking care of our health. We're not always going to feel like it. I don't always feel like it. I have so many days there's not very many times I actually feel like doing the workout I plan to do. I usually do not feel excited and bounce out of bed ready to go. I'm like, geez, I really want to stay in bed and sleep, right? I don't want to do it, but I'm committed to taking care of my body. And so I get up and I do it anyway. And then I'm always glad that I did. So when you learn how to be okay with discomfort and to actually embrace it, what you want is always on the other side of that.
Mm. Okay, here we are. You brought us to number
Hey,
6.
number 6, the last one. It's all or nothing mentality. We can kind of call this perfectionism, but it's what happens when you're doing the work or you're losing weight, you're trying to eat healthy, and then you get off track, like you give in or whatever. And so you just give up for the day. You're like, okay, whatever, I'll just start again tomorrow. Or you give up for the weekend, or you might even give up for the week. For me, I used to go through these phases where I'd be all in and doing so great. And then when I'd go off, sometimes I wouldn't get back for 2 months. I wouldn't get back on track, right? We just give up instead of learning from it and leaning into it because there's always something to learn. Whenever you mess up, if that's what you want to call it, you fall off track, there's something there for you to learn. And when we have this mentality of like, I'm either going all in or I'm all out, it's just like getting one flat tire in your car and then you get out and just slash the other three. Like, well, one tire's flat, so let's just cut
Might
the
as
other three
well.
tires. Might as well. I mean, that sounds so silly, but that's really what we do when we're like,
Yeah.
well, I messed up. I overate that thing, or I had this sugar binge or whatever. I didn't do it. So what else can I eat today? Today's just a wash. None of the rest counts. We might as well just eat whatever and we'll start all over. But that kind of mentality, it's like picturing you're climbing to a summit up a mountain and you're going up this trail. And if you get off trail, you just instead of like sitting down and taking a break, you just decide, well, I'm off the trail, so I'm going to walk all the way back down the mountain and then I'll start again tomorrow. Now I'm going to walk back down. I'll start again next week. I'm going to walk back down. I'll start again on Monday. It's like it takes you so long to get to the summit when you're constantly doing that. What if when you got off track, you got off trail, you actually didn't go back down the mountain? You just actually got back on when you were ready and kept going. You're going to get there so much quicker. So, what I teach my clients is the beauty and the power of imperfect, consistent action. It's not about doing it perfectly. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to get off track. You're going to have times you give in. It's okay. Like I do that too. But we just keep going. And those little imperfect actions, day after day, week after week, month after month, that's what builds the body that you're living in. It's what builds the body you're going to live in 10 years. You're doing it today. So these little things you might think, that's just so little, it doesn't really matter. But those little choices you make every single day, even if you're doing it imperfectly, they add up and they matter. And that's what creates the body that you really want to live in. That's how you learn how to
Mhm.
maintain it.
Yeah, and once again, like that's such practical um information for every aspect of our life, right? Like anything that we're trying to attain. It's not about the destination. It's not about the summit. It's about the messy process in the middle of, I think you called it the imperfect, like it is going
Exactly.
to be, we are going to be imperfect. And that's what it's about. That's the part of the journey that we're here for. We're here for the journey, not the final destination in anything that we do. So thank you. Thank you
You're
very much,
so
Jill.
welcome. You're so welcome.
Okay.
So fun.
Before we leave, I need you to share with people how they can connect with you. I know we'll provide them with a link to the class, the master class. Is
The
that what you
master
call it? The
class.
master class. Yeah. We'll provide them with the link to the master class, but how else can they connect with you?
They can find me at my website, which is jilldunsmore.com. And it's a little different. My name, it's Jille Dunsmore, Dunsmore.com. So they can find me there. They can, and that freebie is also going to be on the website. They can find that there
Okay.
as well. And then they can find
Perfect.
me on Instagram, and it's the same name at Jille Dunsmore. And I'm also on Facebook, same thing, Jille Dunsmore, and I'm on LinkedIn as well. So basically, you could find me
Awesome.
in all those places,
Yeah.
but Instagram is where I am the most, or reach out to me through my website. And I'd love to
Awesome.
connect with you.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a treat to talk with you today, and we'll hopefully see you again soon and our listeners
I
again
hope
next
so.
week. Yeah. Thanks,
Amazing. Thanks so much,
everybody.
Heather. Take
Yep. We'll
care.
see you later.
Hey, we just wanted to thank you for spending part of your day here with us at Latter day Life Coaches and being part of this conversation. Share this with your friends so that you can have a conversation with them on this topic as well. And as always, subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Have a good one, my friends.